Kaalabhojanam is a term that's coming back into use today because of intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting is our choice to not eat during major parts of the day and to restrict all our food intake to a small period during the day. People are doing this primarily because science is showing that giving our bowels a chance to rest and not taking in food for a major part of the day allows the energy that we would use for metabolic functions to be used in other parts of the body where we can heal or build our body. Kaalabhojanam generally means the time to take a meal, but that's a regional language definition. If we go back into Sanskrit, Kala is the sense of time, but it's a sense of time internal to our body as well as externally outside of our body. And bhojanam is a word that signifies the enjoyment of food on a deep cellular level. And taking anything in that we enjoy on a deep level is actually to bring nourishment. So the word prinanam comes up. Prinanam is to nourish or to satisfy on a cellular level when a cell is calling for a nutrient and receives it and can then utilize it fully to make its functions optimal. So how do we do the prinanam and give our cells the food it needs? We create meals, and that is where the name bhojanam comes from. If we look at bhojanams, different parameters outside of just when to take a meal, we can also think about our choice of the time of day according to our hunger, our constitution, the season, and the different parameters of our daily routine, what we do as activities before and after we take our meal, but also the timing within which we eat our meal. Do we shovel it down in 5 minutes, or do we take a good 15, 20, 30 minutes, or do we take a 2-hour meal like the Italians do? It also refers to the time of which the meal was prepared and when we actually sit down to eat it. So many people today will make their meal and then pack it and eat it later in the day, or they will freeze it and eat it days later. And that affects the metabolism of the food and the way that our cells can enjoy it. So there are many other factors of time than just when in the day to take the meal that are the tantra yukti, or the deeper meanings of Kaalabhojanam. Kaalabhojanam also expanded further and deeper, takes us to how we actually metabolize the food. How much time does it not just take us to eat it, but to metabolize it, to assimilate it, and then to process it through our body and out as waste. That's also part of the bhojanam cycle. In addition, we need to look at the cycles of our body's ability to take where the food comes from if it's not native to us and process it. And so the kala of where the food comes from encompasses the cultivation practices, the agricultural practices, the harvesting, the storage, the processing, the containers, the marketing, and then finally when we get it into our home, how long do we keep it before we eat it? All of these are timings, and they affect the way in which the optimal bhojanam, the optimal intake, actually occurs. So there are so many factors that help us to understand bhojan, which is a meal, and the different levels of kala. And when we can optimize those, we can actually give our body full nourishment, which is the purpose of Kaalabhojanam. So the intelligent cook already knows how to take all of these different factors and incorporate them into a delicious, fulfilling, and wholesome meal that is great for our cells and for our mind, our senses, and our well body. I'm Dr. Bhaswati Bhattacharya. Thank you for listening to me.